Wow, this feels nostalgic. It's been years since using this channel, and I can tell since the old background died. You know what? Screw it. Let's do a review of MLP. For old time's sake.
Later.
Slice of Life. Touted as the 100th episode of MLP, this episode had a lot of expectations to meet when it was first announced. After all, this show had been going on for 5 years by this point, and gained a huge following with both the target audience and older audiences. So why am I covering this episode and not, say, the newest one? Well, since I abandoned this channel, I also quit being a brony. So I thought it'd be interesting to look at this episode from the perspective of someone who wasn't a fan of the original show, and see if it's a good episode for people who aren't fans of this show, but aren't anti-brony/anti-MLP. Besides, I believe that any good episode of a show, regardless of continuity, can still be a good way to hook in first-time viewers. After all, if they like one episode, they're more likely to watch the next episode, or go watch the previous episode if they have the means to do so. But is this episode a good hook for first-time viewers? Well, let's dive in. The story of Slice of Life revolves around the wedding of two donkeys by the name of Cranky and Matilda, but as it turns out, the day for the wedding was changed to the day this episode takes place on. So these two characters scramble to get the wedding set up, while the person in charge of sending out the invitations has to tell the people who got the cards that the day for the wedding is today. While that's going on, we get introduced to a bunch of background characters that, based on my knowledge, hardly made an impact in the show, and we see their chemistry, personality, etc. But what about the main characters? You know, the main six. Well, the creators decided it was a better idea to shove them into the B plot, while the background characters in this milestone episode are shoved into the A plot. It's like we traveled into another dimension where the main characters are side characters and the side characters are the main characters. It's so freaking weird. But in the end, the wedding goes off fine, and the only thing the main characters did was defeat the big bad off screen. Happy milestone episode, fans! Now buy our shit! Now, when it comes to the story, it's fine as a solo episode, but as a milestone episode, this bugs me a bit. It's the 100th episode of this show. This is supposed to be a big one, and this is what they came up with? I'm sorry, but that sounds like a really bad idea for a milestone episode. Hell, at least with some milestone episodes like Forever Red from Wild Force and Day of the Doctor from Doctor Who, at least they gave the main characters a lot more screen time, while also continuing and or developing storylines brought out from previous seasons/shows. But I digress. Yes, it bugs me that the main characters are pushed to the side, but are these new characters at least good? Honestly, yes. They have decent personalities, they have good chemistry with other characters, such as Lyra and Bonbon and Cranky and Matilda. They have their funny moments in this episode. Hell, for some characters like Octavia and Vinyl Scratch, I think their personalities and chemistry could make for a good MLP short. Not so much a full-length episode, but a short on, say, YouTube? Yeah, I'd watch that. As for the animation, I also think this episode does a good job with that. It has a nice variety of colors, it's appealing to the eye, the effects are pretty good, the character models are fine, and also showcases that this town has more diversity to it than just a town of horses. The animation is overall well done for this milestone episode. Good job. Now for something that could make or break this episode. The references to the fans. This episode contains numerous references to the fans that have been watching the series, as well as references to older films such as The Big Lebowski. So what do I, someone who hasn't seen a lot of these references, think of these in the episode? Well, they're okay. They didn't ruin the episode for me, nor did they really alienate me that much, but these jokes/references are just okay for me. Not bust a gut laughing, but not cringe-inducing either. It's just okay. But I think it's time I wrap this up. Overall, I think Slice of Life is a decent episode on its own, as a milestone episode despite my earlier complaints, and as a gateway episode for first-time viewers. Are there better gateway episodes to the series? Probably. But I still think this episode is decent enough to get first-time viewers potentially hooked on this cartoon. So that concludes this review. Thank you all for watching, and take care.